living on the far side of town, sharing a dream with anyone. She's made it through heaven, she's made it through hell. It's just another story to tell. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen, filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights? Making up a bar queen on the phone in the great big boulevard, the place she belongs. It's just another story she tells. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen, filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights, through Hollywood nights, through Hollywood nights. You always looked after me, brother, when we were children. You always had my back. You took all the blame when our father caught us doing things that drove him mad. Through the years I could lean on you when I messed up. I'd call you in the night, but I broke too many promises and we split up. Though I still need ya, you gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I got into this awful spot. I don't know where it ends, so I could use your helping hand tonight. I wanna say that I'm sorry, I got sidetracked and I left you in the cold. I've seen your side of the story, I felt the drawback. My mistake took its toll. Finally, I have realized I was dead wrong. I wasn't thinking straight. No more lies, and from here on out I'll be better, 'cause I still need ya. You gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I got
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action, 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 action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart, it's the heart.
Is the Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Tonight, guys, it is the 24th of February, 2022. This will be the final episode of February, as life would have it. Strangely enough, that's what happens. We're going to be in March the next time we talk. Wow. This year's flying by. It seems like the more and more we go, time just flies faster and faster, isn't it? When you're young, you got all the time in the world. But the older I get, it seems like time seems to speed up even faster and faster. I'm not sure why, but it just seems that way. Well, guys, thanks for being here on a Thursday night. And we're back on Thursday night, where we should be. So that everybody can say hi to us and chill out with us. Got some good peeps here in the live stream. We'll be saying hello to them in just a few minutes. But man, I'm glad to have everybody here. Crazy times we're living in now. Crazy times. All of a sudden, things are different than they were a week ago, right? We'll get into that in just a minute. But if you don't know me, if it's your first time here, my name's BP. From Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana, the host of The Heart of a Villain. But by now, I think just about everybody knows me, so I don't know. But hey, at least everybody that's here, I don't mean everybody, but everybody here, anyway, knows who I am, I think. Anyway, tonight, guys, so I mentioned in the comments section here live with everybody in the chat as the countdown timer was going on, that tonight might be a little bit of a shorter episode. And kind of the reason is tonight I wanted to have an opportunity just to kind of decompress a little bit with the weight and the heaviness of the events of what's going on in the world right now and how it's affecting our brothers. But my plan, what I hoped to be able to do was to be able to have a brother of ours from somewhere, either within the Ukrainian chapter or within the Russian chapter, to talk to some point today. I worked the phone lines, the IG lines, everything all day long since pretty much yesterday evening, trying to find somebody that would be able to feel comfortable enough to speak with me, and I'll be darned if I couldn't find one. So many of our brothers that I've contacted, they say they use Google Translator or different things, but typing is one thing because the translate part of it can go quickly. But so I have shared several messages back and forth with a handful of guys about what's going on, what their experiences are, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But so the original intent was because of the weight of the world, the weight of what's going on right now. I wanted to talk about what's going on over there a little bit. Normally we stay away from political things, and I'm not going to delve too much into the true politic nature of it because that's not what we're about. It's not what I'm about here, and that's not what you guys want to hear. But when something happens on such a grand stage in the world that affects our brothers in a very real way, I think this is a worldwide brotherhood, and this is a worldwide podcast, and I would not be doing my job with this podcast the way I see it to be if I don't at least address some of this stuff. So that's kind of where it's going to go. So the conversation at some point here in just a little bit could delve off. We talk and go back and forth with those that are here live making comments. But we may just get to a point after just a handful of minutes that we've kind of hit a wall, and we just will get to that point. So we'll see how the night goes, and see where this episode takes us into that conversation. I do want to say hello, a big shout out to everybody that's here live. So let's go into say hey to Joker. Joker says, "What's good? What's good?" Yeah, man. Mr. Kimak BVENC. I like to keep saying that a different way each time. It just rolls off the tongue now. Kimak BVC. Kimak BVENC. How you doing, buddy? Mars is here hanging out with us as well. Mr. Raven. Raven's in the house. Reverend Nick is here with us as well. Good to see you guys here. I saw Mr. Ramsey here with us. If you haven't commented, I don't know that you're here, but I can see numbers and I can see that there's people here, so it's good to see you guys. Mr. Ramsey. He's doing well. He's in the garage playing with the laser engraver while he's hanging out with us tonight. Very cool. Let's see. I know I saw Scott hanging out with us. Scott says, "Woohoo, I actually made it on tonight." Hey man, I know it's not something that's possible every week for everybody, but it's good to see you here hanging out with us, Scott. For sure. Jess is hanging out with us. How you doing, Jess? Always good to see. And Joker's back, he says. Good to see you guys. Well, so I want to let's get into our normal procedural issues. What we get where we go into our merch and our chapter news. We got a couple of new things here. We got some new chapter merch to talk about, and we got some new chapter news to talk about. So I want to get into that. So let's slide first into our chapter merch. Okay, so yeah, we love the intros to our segments now. I had a lot of fun kind of deciding what I wanted to do with those to introduce each individual segment now. So chapter merch. Well, like I like to do because it's my chapter, my podcast. I will start off with some new merch available from the Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana. That's right. There is a pre-sale now through the 14th of March. Pre-sale on a zip-up or pullover hoodie, your choice, black in color, with a 6-color silk screen of the logo on the back of the hoodie. The front has the Bearded Villains Northern Indiana X Factor, and you also get Northern Indiana on your sleeves with this bad boy. The prices range from $35 to $52, depending on if you're getting a hoodie that is a zip-up versus a pullover, and then your different sizes. bvnorthernindiana.bigcartel.com is where you can go to get that thing. Just so there's no confusion on this, it's a six-color silk screen. Some of you have seen me wear that shirt around either here or there, anywhere. The full 100% logo that we have that we have for the chapter actually has a sunset behind the scarecrow image. So that's a faded sunset appearance to it. So it's a gradient. And unfortunately, because when you do silkscreen, you can't do gradients like that. That color will be behind the scarecrow is just one solid color, but it still turns out to be a really good logo shirt when we had it done initially on a t-shirt. So going with that bad boy. Again, six color silkscreen, $35 to $52 plus shipping. And they will be available for pre-sale up until the 14th. All right. Moving on. Once again, we're going to share this Lakeshore. This will probably be the last time because it's the last month or the last podcast episode of the month, which that is Black History Month. The Black History Month t-shirt from the Bearded Villains Lakeshore Boys is $32 USD. Available at lakeshorevillains.com. I've been screaming about how bright and bold this shirt is since they came out with it. It's very, very cool. Lakeshorevillains.com, $32. And Black History Month t-shirt. Grab them while you can. They're just about gone, I would assume, for the timeliness of it. So grab that. Moving on, we'll slide over to these couple that we've already done a few times. The Bearded Villains Montreal, they have a polar dip patch pre-sale, and then it's going to roll into a full sale, but same price, so $12 for this very cool, bright Montreal Villains patch that they're raising money for their polar dip. They call it a polar dip. We call it polar plunge around here, but MontrealBeardedVillains.com is where you can grab that. MontrealBeardedVillains.com. Another new one that came up this week, Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay rolling out a new t-shirt. Very, very cool. Very cool. Both the front and the back of this one. They got stuff all over this shirt. They got stuff on the front, they got stuff on the back, and they got stuff on both sleeves. These guys are coming out strong, swinging that big bat. Chesapeake, that's called the What's Villain t-shirt. The What's Villain t-shirt. It's on pre-order through March 19th. Pre-order through March 19th. $22 to $28 on this guy. And if you haven't seen the logo, it has their, I don't know what they call their little guy, but their main logo guy on the front. And then it says Chesapeake Bay Villains on the back. Very, very good stuff, man. And then I think it looks like from the pictures I'm seeing, it has CBBV on one sleeve and then the What's Villain phrase on the other sleeve. So grab those guys. Head over to the Chesapeake Bay page to see what you can get to order that bad boy. Pre-order again till March 19th. Moving on, we're gonna see the Maryland Originals. I think these are all still out there. I think so. If we got anybody from Maryland online and can chime in with us, let us know. Bearded Villains Maryland. They're available at marylandoriginals.bigcartel.com. This is the bad OG hats. The OG hats in red and black for $30, or the OG hoodie. It looks like a pullover hoodie in gray or black also for $45. marylandoriginals.bigcartel.com is where you can grab that thing. Then again, I want to say this is coming up to being ended, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember the exact date on it. If you want to grab a bad boy, Tampa Bay Bearded Villains long sleeve shirt that our brother Sook is wearing here in this picture, $25 plus shipping. Reach out to Sook directly on IG or Line, and he will set you up to grab one of these things. It's a long sleeve. It has their X Factor on the sleeve. Very, very cool stuff. It does not come with Sook included. Sorry. Sorry about that. BV Toronto, BeardedVillainsToronto.com is where you can get these. We talked about it last week, the Hogtown Chops for Kids' Sake shirt and the BVTO Axe the Stigma shirt. Very cool. They designed by two of their bros. Sweet, sweet shirts. Two different ways to go with this. Get them both if you want to. $30 to $32 or $30 to $34. Available at BeardedVillainsToronto.com. This goes towards their X the Stigma thing that they've got going on right now. Very cool. So grab that if you can. And then, rolling on, we have the new merch for DSV6 has come out. DSV6 has come out. Now, the Bearded Villains South Texas are the ones that are hosting the DSV6 event this year down in San Antonio. Now, the patches are $12. The shirts are $25. Sweet, sweet designs on both of these guys. Get the set. get the set. Even if you're going, or even if you're not going, remember, you can still buy that merch even if you're not going, and it still goes to a great cause. DSV6 shirts and patches, $12 for the patches, $25 for the shirts. Available at bvstx.bigcartel.com. And guys, that is the merch this week. All right. Any questions about that merch, reach out. If you have something that one of you guys out there are raising money for, let me know, and I'll try and get your merch here included in this here podcast episode and live streams. People can always go back to these live streams and watch them and see what your merch is. It's like a history book of your merch if you include it in here. People can go back afterwards and say, hey, remember when you did that shirt? No, I don't remember. What did it look like? Oh, well, let's go back and watch the episode see. All right. Chapter news. Let's get into some chapter news, guys. Breaking news. No, it's not breaking. Not too breaking anyway. Chapter news. Sorry, I had to take a drink. So, the big chapter news that I got this week, and I know there's others that are coming down the pike, but we need to welcome Bearded Villains Western Oregon. Bearded Villains Western Oregon officially got a seal since we last spoke. So big congrats to the boys over at Western Oregon. Now we've got another chapter in the books. So congrats to you guys. Look forward to seeing how you guys grow and what you guys are going to do with things. Very, very exciting times. I know we have some other chapters that are coming out soon. I don't want to give anything away if you don't already know, but I've heard rumor. So we'll deal with that when we get to it. But for now, hey, that's chapter news. All right, chapter news. So, guys, this is crazy stuff. I want to delve in for a second to the our segment that we have referring to 3 inspiring minutes. Now, for our 3 inspiring minutes today, I want to mention I was scrolling through Instagram, all the different, all the socials, Twitter and whatnot, all the socials, and I came across a very interesting post that was a post that somebody that I followed on Twitter, that they had posted something of somebody else's post and retweeted, how that goes, and the words that were shared in this little graphic were so we've talked similar words here on this podcast before, but the words that this post shared, that this graphic had, were so poignant for what's going on today in the world and how life can just turn on a dime. And so with 3 inspiring minutes, today we are going to talk about the words of Melanie Coulouris. Melanie Coulouris, I think is how you pronounce her name. And very, very cool. And check this out with me here. So there's this post that was listed, she posted. It says, life is so short. We spend so much time sweating the small stuff, worrying, complaining, gossiping, comparing, wishing, wanting, and waiting for something bigger and better, instead of focusing on all the simple blessings that surround us every day. Life is so fragile. And all it takes is a single moment to change everything you take for granted. Focus on what's important and be grateful. You are blessed. Believe it. Live your life and leave no regrets. I don't know about you guys, but as I sit there and read that, and I read it 4 or 5 times, just sat there staring at those words, and to think about, we're all involved in different things in our lives, and we're on different journeys. We're in different chapters of our life, and we've got life happening around us. And we see death every day in some way, shape, or form. We've got disease. We've got all sorts of things going on. And sometimes I think it's really important that words like this get presented to us. Sometimes, these are thoughts that many of us have on a regular basis, I think. But this is the stuff that I think is so important when it comes and it just suddenly jumps in front of you. And it's a great reminder when it does. This is one of those situations that they happen frequently in all of our lives, where something happens, you don't know why, but it just happens. And the timing of it couldn't be any better. You just needed to hear it when you needed to hear it. And that time was just perfect. So just take heed to slow down and give yourself a chance to see these things for what they are when they do. Sometimes it's a word. Sometimes it's a phrase. Sometimes it's a picture. Sometimes it's a phone call. It could be anything. But you never know how fragile things can be and how life can turn on a dime. This hit personally me in the last week, because I've people that follow me on Facebook or people that I've had more personal conversations with in the last week may know that I recently had a friend that passed away. She died in a house fire, and she was killed in the house fire with her teenage daughter. She has an older daughter that was away at college, and her husband wasn't home at the time. And at least as far as I know, I haven't heard that part of it, but it happened, and I found out about it just before we were going to air for the podcast last week. And it's such a crazy, when things like that happen, it can be accidents of any kind, car accidents or whatever. It's just such a reminder to think about how fleeting life is, but also to think about how important the connections that we have are, how important those connections are to sustain us, and how important it is that we keep up with those. People come in and out of our lives, obviously, for different reasons, but and some would say that those that come out of that fall out of your life do it for it's intentional. If somebody falls out of your life, then maybe you didn't need them in your life at all, at least in that part of your life. And where I understand that thought process, we're all so busy. And as you get older, you meet so many people. And before you know it, you lose track. You lose contact with, even in the social media world we live in now, you lose contact with people from your past. You lose contact that you used to have daily contact with. You lose these people in your life. And then something like that happens where you learn that they're no longer with us. Stephanie was a good friend of mine in college. I met her because she and I both had the same major, and we ended up in almost every single class together. And so we ended up sitting next to each other in almost every class. We studied together. She dated in college my roommate. She was a resident on my wife's floor several years while she was an RA. And so our lives were, during the college years, were constantly intertwined. And then we both went into the same career. And I moved up north. And at one point, she moved into the central part of the state. And because she worked for the state, her abilities and her area of coverage overlapped mine. And then, so we got to a point where, even though we had lost touch for a short time after college, our professional careers blended together again. And so there was a point at which we both ended up becoming detectives. We both ended up being crime scene investigators at the same time. So we had very similar interests. Unfortunately, I with life and everything else that happens, you lose contact with some of these people, and that's what happened with me. I lost contact with her, and I hadn't spoken with her for quite some time, a few years, and then to find out last week, it's just a reminder, guys, that, and then we're reminded again by what we're facing in the world today. Life, and I'm leaving this graphic up here because of that reason, because I wanted to refer back to it. We spend so much time sweating the small stuff, worrying, complaining, gossiping, comparing, wishing, wanting, and waiting for something bigger and better instead of focusing on all the simple blessings that surround us every day. Life is so fragile. And all it takes is that single moment to change everything you take for granted. Focus on what's important and be grateful. And I love the last line, live your life and leave no regrets. So that was our 3 minutes with Melanie Glouris. I appreciate you guys indulging me on that. Went a little longer than 3 minutes, but I wasn't gonna bring it up. I hate to delve too much into the personal with me on this show, but between her passing a week ago and then learning the events that are going on, the war that's being waged over the Ukraine right now, and our brothers, whom many of us may talk to. Some of us are in the different chats with them, and we talk to them somewhat regularly, or on Instagram, or we follow their posts. We see, we see parts of each other's lives through the social media world. We're kind of brought into each other's lives, whether we know somebody truly personally or we just follow them. And this goes for our brothers, and it goes for people that we follow that aren't bearded villains. Social media has its downfalls, but at the same time, when done well, we allow people into our personal space through our Instagram posts, through our Facebook posts, get a little glimpse into our world. And that connection can be something very real. And when something like what's happening right now, where 2 of our chapters are being directly affected by the choices of the leader of a country. All you can do is pray for them. All you can do is send your thoughts, send your prayers, try to reach out, and hope that everybody comes out of it okay. The scary thing is that these events, even though, unless you are a soldier who has participated in a war scenario and has participated in war, the events that you're seeing again on TV are surreal. And as our brothers who are living overseas right now, over in the Ukraine right now, as they're telling us firsthand, it's very surreal. It's very strange to see rockets flying through the air in the city you live. To be living near one of these areas that's being bombarded by rockets right now. A month ago, happy skies, people outside playing, no worries. And over the last 24 hours to see rockets flying by so closely that when they hit the ground, you feel the shockwave, and the fireball, you can feel it. And we're seeing these images. And these aren't people that are actively participating in war. This is war that's being brought to them. This is war being brought to their front door. And the really scary thing here is that this is not a situation where you have a full-on active warlike engagement for specific purposes, as it seems like so many of the larger wars that we've had in the world were. Now you have a very real situation where it seems like history's almost repeating itself, as things usually do, it seems like in war. But something like 85 years ago, over in Germany, a power-hungry individual decided that he didn't like the way that some people were living. And the Ukraine has been independently run and sovereign for a while. And you have a man who's just decided, yeah, I don't like that. You have a man who has decided, number one, that not only does he want to just govern over his people, but he wants to tell another country how to live. Essentially, another territory, he wants to tell them how to live. And some of his demands were basically saying, everybody else in the world, shut up. And don't come over here and play. Don't even look over here. And why? That's the scary thing. I've reached out and I've chatted with brothers from both Russia and from the Ukraine today, the last 24 hours. There doesn't seem to be a true reason other than, from what they're telling us, he's just power hungry. And of course, the state television in Russia is telling everybody that, is trying to make it out that he's being a peacekeeper by doing this. I don't know how that is a peacekeeping mission, doing what you're doing. The people in the Ukraine were living just fine before you came in. They were doing okay on their own. They didn't need you to knocked down their door. And now the lives of our brothers who share our thoughts, share our dreams, share our beliefs, are in very real danger. I spoke with one of our brothers this afternoon, and who lives in the Ukraine, and he said that, and I want to bring up part of the message. I will not indicate the name, but it's a very scary time. And to see his words explaining what it's like there, just very scary stuff. He says, rockets are being fired at our cities. I can hardly explain the situation. He said later, I don't even know what to do. We sit here and wait for the enemy. This is real. We sit here and wait for the enemy. If I have to kill them, I will. This is my house. We will stand to the end. They are shelling the whole of the Ukraine, all major cities. Our authorities have called, this is as real as it gets, boys and girls. Listen to this. This is like the Revolutionary War here in the States. He says, the authorities have called on every man to take up arms and defend the city from the Russian military. You're hearing stories now that they're calling on men and even teens as young as 14. I read in one news report. To take up, excuse me, to take up arms and protect and fight for the country, to fight for the Ukraine. We live here in the States, we live a seemingly sheltered life away from this. And whereas we have a constitution that was built on a listing of a Second Amendment to allow for, and I'm not going to get into a Second Amendment argument right now, but written so that there would always be a well-regulated militia, because at the time when those words were written, they were fighting and fearful of a government telling them what to do and not letting them live their life with their rights. And that the government should never, be able to overrun the people. Well, that's the life that these people are living right now. That's the life our brothers are living right now. So scary that they're being told, citizens, these are not militiamen, these are not, members of any kind of military force for the Ukraine. These are citizens being told, we want you to stand up against the Russian army if they come into your area. And I'm terrified, truly, of what's to come for these people that live in these areas. I asked if the Russian troops were very far away or if they're coming into the area where you live, and he said, yeah, they're on their way. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this, because it's a very real, life-changing situation. Radar says, yeah, heard from Jamal from BV Ukraine a few times today. It's a damn shame what's going on out there. Yeah, 100%. And Radar, Jamal's one of the many guys that I've been speaking with. And it's surreal. Totally. as he said, as this little video has been seen probably all over the internet right now, and it came out, I think, either early this morning or late last night. But just a short little clip, and this is a rocket that was fired near the airport. A rocket. I pray for the people over there in Ukraine. And one of the reasons that I wanted to get somebody on the show tonight to talk about it was because my fear is that the people of Russia are going to be ostracized. They're going to be seen as the aggressors, the targets of hate. And my understanding from those that I've spoken with over there, chatted with, is that this is basically one man's mission, that the citizens of Russia, pretty much as a whole, there are pockets of people that will always support Putin no matter what. But you've seen the protests coming out, and these are protests of people in the thousands protesting the actions that Putin's taken. And the very real situation there is that these people can be punished badly for opposing the government decision, the government actions. They don't live in a free society like we do, where freedom of speech exists per se. There's serious ramifications. And sadly, Putin has already come out and said that those that oppose and protest can and will be punished. It feels, I wasn't alive in the 1930s, but I've seen many a film and documentaries and read books, and this feels a lot like the very beginnings of another certain person who decided that he wanted a little bit more power. And what became of his actions were absolutely disgustingly hideous. We're all hoping that that's not where this is headed, but the similarities are striking and sad. And truthfully, as one of our brothers in Russia told me today, he said he didn't even know anybody that voted for him. He was, if you don't know, the Russian president is elected on a 6-year term, and they do have a rule in place that you can't serve more than 2 terms. So he was reelected, and he should be out. I believe he was reelected in 2018, so 2024, but that's plenty of time to cause a whole bunch of damage. And who knows where it's going to go from there? Who knows if there's some sick rule that says he's allowed to change the rule of law on how long he can serve. But scary stuff over there right now. And the people of Russia don't deserve to be hated for it. The people of Russia, it seems like so many of them are opposed to this. They don't want this. These are the actions of one person. And the lives of so many people are in danger because of this. I don't know. I don't have any answers, folks. I wish I don't have any answers. But it's serious. It's scary, scary times, and very scary for those that are living in it. You've seen the video footage of news reporters who were in the middle of a interview on TV, and they had to stop for a second so that they could put on their Kevlar helmet and flak jacket because something was incoming into the area. I mean, we saw that kind of stuff in other parts of the world in other wars before. But now, in this area, there's a few different varieties of the way this has been said over the years, but those that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And it's a scary situation, what's going on. So thoughts and prayers to our brothers and all family members of theirs affected over there in Ukraine and in Russia. We are thinking of you. We are praying for you. And please keep us posted. And it's, I think, very important that people living both in Russia and people living in Ukraine, it's very important that you have a voice. It's very important that you share that voice with other people in the world. And we live in a media market right now where governments will put out one message, and that message could be completely false. We've seen that all over the world. We see it here in the States, and we know that it's being done right now in Russia. But what's the will of the people? How do the people feel? So you are brothers in Russia. You are brothers in Ukraine. You're our voices. And we want to hear. You need to tell the world what's actually happening and not let some news media service try and say it for you. We're listening. We're listening.
If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order.
Okay, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Our bro here says, my family's freaking out. They're going to pull prior military and talking to a few vets. They feel like it's a possibility. Yeah. Scary times. Very scary times we're living in right now. Let's hope that this gets taken care of and ends very, very quickly, without any more lives lost, for sure. Well, guys, we're going to slide into our calendar of events, and there's a few that we need to remind ourselves about. This weekend is one. I will be there. I was supposed to be there tonight. I was supposed to be there earlier today, but flights got changed because, truthfully, flights got changed because they don't know how to handle ice in Texas. But why should they? Why should they? It's Texas. They shouldn't have a whole lot of ice down there. But when it ices over from a little freezing rain, big machinery don't work too well down there. So had to transfer a flight till tomorrow. So, but tomorrow night I'll be there. LSV down in the North Texas area, Fort Worth area. The Bearded Villains North Texas are our hosts. There's going to be a meet and greet tomorrow night at River Bottom Pub. You got a contest, music. They got live music. Got a beard competition. Everything on Saturday. Good weekend. Good weekend. That's this weekend. LSV 5. Then the following weekend, the weekend after. That's next weekend. A week from this weekend. March 4th through the 6th is Nash Vegas. Nash Vegas. I'll be there too. That's going to be another good time. Nash Vegas in Nashville, Tennessee. Meet and greet on the 4th at the game terminal. They got their event, their main event on the 5th. You know what? That whole weekend is just awesome. Nash Vegas, always a good time. Gets bigger every year, it seems like. So if you want to make a meet in the Midwest, grab that one. Next weekend, 1 week from today, basically, tomorrow. March 4th through the 6th. Then April 1st through the 3rd is DSV 6. April 1st through the 3rd, DSV 6 in San Antonio, Texas. Bearded Villains of South Texas are your hosts. We've already talked about the merch from the patches and the shirts that they got available. Go down, hang out in San Antonio, April 1st through the 3rd. Then a little closer to my home here, May 6th through the 8th is Beardo de Mayo. Beardo de Mayo is in Ohio. Beardo de Mayo, May 6th through the 8th. Meet and greet is on 6th. Beard Comp is on the 7th at Crafted Culture Brewery. They are raising money for the Huckleberry House. Raising money for the Huckleberry House. Beardo de Mayo, May 6th through the 8th. And June 10th through the 12th is the West Coast meet. This is the big weekend where we have three events going on around the world. So June 10th through the 12th, West Coast meet in Seattle, Washington. Our hosts are the West Washington and East Washington Bearded Villain chapters. Again, Seattle, Washington, June 10th through the 12th. That same weekend is Knox Villains in Knoxville, Tennessee, hosted by the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. So here in the States, you got two opportunities. One in Tennessee and one in Washington. And then if you live anywhere near London, jolly old London, Villain Fest 5, hosted by the BV London chapter. It's at Gigi's Hoxton, June 11th. So that weekend, you don't have any excuses unless you live in Australia or something else. But there's stuff all over that weekend that you can go to. So find a place and go. Then July 8th through the 10th. July 8th through the 10th is Beers for Bucko, hosted by the BV Toronto chapter. BV Toronto, Beers for Bucko. July 8th through the 10th. That's gonna be an awesome weekend. I've got fingers crossed. I'm working due diligence to try and make sure I can get to that one. Then July 22nd to 23rd is the West Virginia Whisker Fest, hosted by the West Virginia Bearded Villains in Parkersburg, West Virginia. That's gonna be a good time. Parkersburg didn't let us down too bad. It was a good time for the East Coast meet last year. West Virginia did really well with that. So go to West Virginia for Whisker Fest, July 22nd, 23rd. Then the last thing I got on the calendar is just a mark the date time of thing. October 22nd, the return of the Ezra Crow event. We called it Halloween Havoc last year. Not sure if that's going to stay, but in northern Indiana, October 22nd, that's going to be a beard contest and a costume contest. All sorts of good stuff. Very, very fun. So that is our calendar of events, guys, right now. If you have anything you want to add to the calendar of events, please let me know, and I will get it added to it for sure. Well, guys, hey, we made it, and we didn't get too much shorter than a regular podcast episode. Just a couple minutes we went, because I droned on for a long time. Thanks for listening to me as I did that, guys. I appreciate that. With that, it's going to wrap up episode 123 of The Heart of a Villain. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, pins, all the good stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Shirts, patches, pins, poker chips, all that good stuff. Whatever it is you're looking for. Guys, you know what? I say it. I want to challenge you. Be the villain that the world needs you to be. Right now, we need some villains. We need some villains in the world because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Guys, the most important words I say every week, most important, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Guys, have a great night. Have a great weekend. Be safe if you're going to LSV. If you're going someplace else, hanging out, have a great time. Enjoy the week ahead. I'll see you next week for 124. Take care and stay safe.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we win, and it's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we win, and it's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains Podcast worldwide, driving cross country.